I don't know why, but you are watching the Madness Comic Network. Are you mental?
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Good morning. It's Tuesday. Woody, good morning. Good morning, Apex. How are you guys? Good morning, everybody that's watching. I see you. Why watch Louder with Crowder when you can get the story with Laurie? Get the story with Laurie. I don't really know all of that, but it's good. Good morning. It is I, your hostess with the hottest coffee around, Laurie Calcaterra, writer, creator of Path of the Pale Rider, with the bear zombies and all the good Western antics. Today I am drinking, guess what? My own coffee. Well, almost. I'm like 2 steps closer to drinking. I do have coffee plants I bought last year, which it takes 2 years for them to grow flowers and beans, I guess. So we're in year 1. Plants look good, but I'm drinking, you guys. I ordered, because my birthday was not too long ago, right? So I ordered green coffee. So I ordered a sampler pack. I got 4 different kinds of coffee beans, green, and I've been roasting them myself. I know, I'm a foodie. I can't help it. So I have these cute little packages that I made. of different kinds of coffee beans that I did this. I'm so impressed with myself. I'm going to pat myself on the back because we love coffee here on the Tuesday Morning Brew. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, look, he's chatting from the back. Your birthday was March 16th? Yeah, mine was March 5th. So, birthday month buddies. Dustin, where are you at? Here you are. Good morning. Good morning, Dustin. Anywho, so I'm just doing my thing. Path of the Pale Rider is in production. Matt is coloring at this point. We're about halfway done, I would say, with issue number 6. And Path of the Pale Rider, we had another late pledge come through. So we're at this magical number of 7,669. Which we all chuckle like little kids when we are at this number. But if you miss out on the campaign, hey, check it out. We have the same birthday. Very cool, Josh Perry. But if you missed the campaign, there are still some tiers that are open for books. You can still get books, including the ketchup tier, the mustard tier, where you can get fully caught up in the series. All the digital tiers are still available, so you guys can still hop on and get a copy. I recommend that you get on board right now, because when we drop number 7, y'all want to know what's happened up to this point when we get to 7. What? Oh, we will leave Karen in the back today. She won't be coming out on the show. Anywho, enough about me. Let me bring in my guest. Hi, Bruce on Pilled, by the way. No mayo tier. I can't send mayo. That would be gross. Can you imagine if I said, oh, he's already posted. Let's bring him out. I was just gonna leave you like that. For like,
I was already committed to it.
You were committed.
I was committed to it. I was like, I'm staying like this until she brings me in, because I don't want to be like backstage doing that and then just be like, well, I just wasted that.
Oh my gosh. I was like, is that a green screen? Like he is just broken or
I green screened my entire self. So yes, I'm just a human green screen.
That's hilarious. I had a guest do that where I was like, we're going to start the show. And maybe he forgot, he was a returning guest and forgot that there was going to be commercials. So he posed when I started the commercials, and I was like, I was like in the private chat, like, it's going to be a few minutes. Like, okay. But it was funny. Welcome, Matt Knowles, back to the Tuesday Morning Brew, friend of the show. One of, again, the hardest working comic creators in indie comics, man. This is one half of the team of Insymmetry Comics. We had Steph last time as well, but man, it's early in California right now. So.
Oh yeah, it's 8 o'clock. She's literally like driving her kid to high school.
School, yeah.
Oh yeah, so she might jump in the chat if she gets a chance to. But yeah, just being being 8 o'clock in the morning kind of tough. Even though she is an early bird, because she's the kind of person that runs 100 miles a month. So she's up. She lives in the desert, so she needs to get up before the sun rises, so it doesn't become 100.
Yeah.
Degrees. She runs 100 miles a month, so she's normally up, but that doesn't mean that she's able to be up and functioning in an Insymmetry Creations capacity at the time of the morning.
That's a good point. It's like, I can be awake, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be present.
Exactly.
I think I tried to record a show at 8 a.m. once with George Medina, and we were both like, what are we doing? Like, we can't make work.
Brian, what's his name? Brian K. Morris would do his show at like 9:30 in the morning at some point, and I would get to do that. And I'm definitely not a 9:30 in the morning on a live stream. I'm the kind of person that'll be like grogging up with my coffee and sitting down and doing stuff while I'm waking up. Be like, what did I get done while I was waking up? I don't know. Cool. I just got another page of script done, but I was asleep when I did it, so I better go back and look.
That's amazing. To be half awake and writing script, that's amazing. Might have to try that. You never know. Things could come out. Unintended things sometimes, but it's okay. Things will come out. So, how have you been since last time you were on the show?
So,
super
remember
busy.
When last, or was it for Perilous Prospects 4? Was it before that? So we are so busy, right now. So I just went out because I'm in Florida. I went out to California and did a couple of comic store signings in Steph's area. The people out there in Hanford and Visalia, California, really came out and supported. They, completely showed out. It was awesome. 2 weekends ago, I was a guest at Collective Con Jacksonville. Next weekend, Steph and I will be in Tampa, Florida at the Spookala Festival, where we take on a different role. I'm the MC and the host for that show. So all the celebrity interviews. I've got a panel with all the main players from the new Daredevil series. I'm going to be on stage with them. So I've got everybody from Daredevil. And there's a whole bunch of other ones too. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but there's so many. I've got the main actress from Orphan. So she's going to be there. So it's going to be a fun show. So there's a lot of prep there, but like we were talking backstage before we got on here, we're actually working on 7 comic projects concurrently right now. And that's not like, oh, it'll be nice. People like, I've got this 21 issue thing I want to do. No, we're not talking about something like that. We're like, right now, at this moment, we've got things we have to put time to every single day. We're working on why we're on here right now. We've got Misfitz Clubhouse, all the Shenanigans So Far, which is the campaign that we currently have up on Kickstarter at the moment, which is our main focus. But then we are finishing up Heirs of Isildur, the Perilous Prospects 4, which we just had our campaign for. That one is right on the edge of being sent to the printer. We are very deep into the Perilous Prospects 5, the finale. And then we have a series a brand new series we're starting in May, at the end of May, Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress. So issue 1
I'm sorry, what's it called?
Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress.
Okay.
And it is deep into production. And one of the things about that one, just real quick, we didn't just be like, let's just take these random words and throw them together. Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress, there is a legitimate reason why she's called that. And it will be explained pretty quickly in the series as to why that is kind of what her moniker is. But we're actually working on the first 2 issues of that. We actually just signed a band to be in the cameos of issue 2, or just getting to the point of working on their scenes. Wow. So it's crazy. And we have 2 different anthology pieces we're working on at the same time as well. So that's...
Do you sleep, let alone... I mean, you just said a bunch of things, and I don't think you even took a breath.
Yes, because if I took a breath in there, then, I would not be able to get the stuff done. So...
Didn't I said one of the hardest working indie creators out there. I like you and John Westhoff, just insane how scheduled. Tom Hutchinson, where you guys come into the year and you're like, this is our 2025 and it's already planned. But I get that you have to be that way because you have so many moving parts. There's so many plates spinning that if you don't plan it out for the whole year, but I just feel like, what if something goes wrong in there? Like, what if a printer messes up? What if things come damaged? What if you can't, like, an artist, heaven forbid, gets sick? Like, what happened to your year? How do you pivot and turn and keep going?
So one of the things that we did, we realized probably late 2023, early 2024, we needed to change up the way that we were kind of operating in a sense. And we saw the huge economic downturn, and we were doing like everything for Heirs of Isildur is 44 to 56 pages for new content every issue. And that's tough to be able to get that much stuff together and put it in a book and be able to fund it and not completely lose your butt on it. So in 2024, especially when we saw how much of a downturn the second half of the year was, we basically punted the entire end of the year. And we're like, look, let's just really work on making sure that we know what our schedule is going to be 2025 and forward, and make sure that we are ready to go. So like, the pencils and inks for Heirs of Isildur 4 and 5 were basically done at the same time. And so even though we're finishing up 4 right now, we already have the inks for 5 sitting in our hands. Misfitz Clubhouse, there's a reason why we're releasing this now. It was supposed to go through distribution a little while ago, and that didn't happen. And so now we won't
name names, but that was with the publisher, correct?
Yes,
that dropped the ball on that.
Right, we pulled the reins back on that, and so we decided, look, if we're going to be putting out all the Shenanigans So Far, we're going to make sure that there's even more shenanigans in there. We got a bunch of new cover art done. We have another story. Basically, what this issue is it's got there's 10 short stories in the book, and 8 of them, in one way or another, have been published at other times.
Since we're talking about it, let's bring it up.
So 8 of them have been published at other times. We wanted to make this a collective version where you can get it all in the same space. And we have 2 brand new stories that are going to be in there. The image you see there is from a story called Glitch in the Matrix. And then we have another brand new story as well. And there's probably 25, 30 pages of content in here that have never been released. So basically like a whole other single issue that is going to be in here. But we really wanted to do this right. We've got a lot of fun merchandise that goes along with it. I mean, definitely not at like Laurie Calcaterra levels of fun merchandise because it's like
you guys,
you're here, the rest of us are here.
I'm going to steal your sock idea at one point. I'm just going to put it out there. They have some super cool socks that I've been looking at for a while. So at some point, if you see socks show up on Laurie Calcaterra campaign, totally stolen from these guys. 100%.
Well, you know, we might have to steal the hot sauce idea, even though I don't eat hot sauce. But I know Steph is like, you know, give her something that is literally like, you know, flames coming off of it, and she'll eat that. And I'm the kind of person that like looks at that and get into suggestion. So, you know, we might have to do that too. We might have to get you to bind some books for us.
I'm doing that right now. I just bound. Oh my gosh. I just posted a video yesterday where I'm trying to do some gilding. So like I took the covers off of the books, and then I'm putting like gold, and one is rose gold and silver on the edges of the paper. So hopefully it works.
Dude, that's the stuff that you do. The stuff you do is amazing. I look at what you do, and I mean, there's a lot of things that creators do that some of them are similar. Like we do poker chips, game tokens.
Yeah.
Brett Giuliano was the one who really helped us get into that one. But there are some things that you do that are so original to, like, when you launched your campaign, I was legitimately happy for you because you just went completely nuts on that first day. And I'm like, this is a creator that is doing some really fun, cool stuff and invests her time into really creating a unique thing. When you back Path of the Pale Rider, you know you're getting something that is completely unique from what other people are doing, often imitated but never replicated or never duplicated. So you might look at the stuff we do and think that we have some fun stuff, which I think we do. But I look at what you do and I'm like, man, you helped raise that bar. I remember when you jumped into the industry, I'm like, all right, Laurie's raising the bar. Now we've got to come back and raise that bar again, and the fun competition, you know?
Yes. Well, it's a fun back and forth muse game where it's like, oh, this is really cool. I betcha we could do this. Like, I'm now going to be doing, I know you know this, but scratch and sniff stickers. Like, we all do stickers, but I was like, has anybody done scratch and sniff stickers? How do we do scratch and sniff stickers? So I'm doing scratch and sniff Snickers. Just can't even talk. I need more caffeine or less caffeine. I don't know. John Westhoff, what is this, a moose?
So the thing about scratch and sniff stickers, though, you're doing like a zombie book and dead people book. So like, are you gonna make them smell like zombies and dead people? I don't know if I need that in my life. You know?
Yeah, you do. It's amazing. Well, I'm doing 3, right? So it's related to the comic. We have a character named Dwayne Fink, who is a town drunk who might know how the apocalypse starts. So there's a beer scented one. Of course, we have a barbecue sauce scented one. And then we have a zombie flesh scented one. And you need to satisfy that curiosity. You know you do.
I mean, if there was, I could say, I'd want to see if they, this doesn't smell like a zombie. I know zombie smell,
It's gross. I talked to the company that does these. It's a sloth. Thank you. I had to zoom in. I got bad eyesight. But I talked to the company, and they have this like whole list of scents that you can pick from, right, and make the stickers. And so I asked for samples of what these smell like, and I'm not going to tell you guys the scent that I picked for zombie flesh, but it's disgusting.
Oh, goodness.
I can't wait. In fact, I got to put that one in its own bag because I don't want like your whole comic to smell like this.
Yeah, well, definitely would be the scent of Path of the Pale Rider.
Yeah,
people would associate you with the stink of zombies.
I'm doing that next campaign, Matt. We're going to have a scratch and sniff cover.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty original. Scratch and sniff cover. That's pretty cool.
I think it's genius. And it's also going to probably stink. So,
well, as you guys can see, we are only $130 for minimum funding.
Yes.
With this type of series, we know that it's difficult, or more. These types of series trend more difficult to fund on Kickstarter. So we made our ask a lot more conservative because we wanted to make sure we got this thing funded. This thing has had far too many misfires, and is it going to come out? Is it not going to come out? And if it's coming from us, it's going to come out. It's going to come out quick. Right. And we wanted to make sure that there was going to be no issues there. But we've held back a ton of cool stuff that are out there for stretch goals and backer count incentives. And as soon as we get to that minimum funding, we'll start announcing those things. But we need
all right, because I was gonna say, because a lot of times, like, I'll have mine on the campaign, but like the poker cards, I don't flip until we get to them. So you're one of those that's like, you have to wait and then we'll announce them.
Well, but part of the reason we do that is because logistically, you don't know how the campaign is going to perform. You might get to something super quick, and people are just going to be crushing through them, and you want to make sure you're still making those goals be be an incentive for people to go out there and back or add on. But we also don't want to go the flip side. If you've got a campaign that's running really slow, we don't want to go putting out there being like, here's what the $10,000 goal is, and you're like, dude, you're not making 10,000 on that. So why did you just waste our time putting that thing out there that is never going to happen? So we like to try to make sure that we kind of take a look and make sure that our goals are realistically attainable within the campaign.
Yeah. And I agree with that. That's smart. I like to have mine be relatable to what we've done in the past, if that makes sense. So I base the stretch goals on our numbers that we have previously reached. You know, if we did 6,000, then I might do a 7,000 and a 7,500 stretch goal.
Yeah.
I saw, and I hate to, I'm not going to name names, but there was this other creator, brand new creator, built a campaign that was a little odd. And at the very bottom had a $20,000 stretch goal. And I was like, you may want to look around. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like, I don't know if you realize, but you're probably not going to.
So it's like just in the time when you got to be efficient with what you're doing, to waste your time on a $20,000 stretch goal. I mean, if you're Tom Hutchinson, that dude can put a $20,000 stretch goal out there, and he's going to hit it like the first 30 minutes. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But not all of us are Tom.
No,
not all of us are Tom or Charlie Stickney or Pat Shea. We're not printing our own money.
I'm just glad he's here. I miss Carissa's show on Mondays went from every week to once a month. And so now I don't get my weekly dose of Tom and Chad and and Ray. And I still talk to Carissa a lot, so I still get my Carissa time. But Tom, I miss you. So now he's here and he's like, look, she's a diva. But it's like, that's my new backdrop. You don't like it? What? So, the money I print is pink. Who is Tom Hutchinson?
Long as it...
I don't know what's going on.
As long as it spends and as long as it's legal tender, right?
I mean, you could bring your pink money when you wear your pink Angora sweater on my show next time.
So we're only $130 for minimum funding on this project.
I'm saying shiny things today.
Now, Laurie, I don't know if you want to play the campaign video in here. I don't know if it's only a minute and 11 seconds. I know you loved it. I know there was something that was right up your alley. So
it is, because when Matt sent it to me, he was like, see, you're not the only one that does silly videos. And I was like, oh, you better bring it. You better bring it. I was throwing chicken nuggets in mine, so you better.
we had another host that saw the video, and their comment back was one of the best comments we ever got. Their comment was, "It's so stupid, it's so good." That literally was the comment, and we're like, yes, that's exactly what we're going for, because it's so different than what we normally do. Normally it's high fantasy or dark stuff or extreme death metal and all that goes in with what we do. Yeah. And for this one, it's like go the complete opposite direction. And, there you go.
Tom, I cannot wait to have this ensemble on the Tuesday Morning Brew. I'm just saying. He's going to go full on Ed Wood. All right, let's play the video. Here we go.
It's time for Misfitz Clubhouse. All the Shenanigans So Far. Come join me, Dean Fairy, Swampy, and Sting for all of their ridiculous adventures. It's 10 stories, nearly 100 pages in one awesome book. Along the way, you'll meet characters like the Asparagus Guy, Link Haas, Captain Bluebeard, a Bully Boy, and Person 2%, a Crime Investigator, and even crazier ones like Snow, Dark Bluebeard, and so many more. So if you're a human person that likes humor, fun, and laughter, then you need Misfitz Clubhouse. All the shenanigans so far in your life.
Love it. I like the horn at the end, especially.
It was just one of those things. We put that horn on, like it just kind of feels like it just pulls the whole thing back together by putting that in there. And we did our Tales from Nocturnia series a while back, and one of the reviewers said something that kind of stuck. They were like, what they're doing, they know what they're doing for this, and it's just complete medieval insanity, and they lean into all the insanity that's here.
Don't look now, but Tom Hutchinson likes your video.
Yes, yes, I love it. Good, yeah. I love it.
Oh my gosh!
So the big thing for us was like, if we're going to do something, we're going to lean into it and just have fun with it, because with this, it's our one chance to be super utterly absurd. And as we were putting the video together, at first there was no voiceover, and we kind of batted around whether or not we should do it, and we kind of were leaning, because we had some time constraints, we were leaning towards not doing it. And then our buddy Richard Rivera from Stabby Bunny saw it. And he's like, you know what this video needs? This video needs a voiceover. And as soon as he said it, we're like, done. Voiceover's happening. And then everything. That's me. That was me.
Oh, was you okay?
That was me just being a complete knucklehead. I tried to channel Will Arnett and Diedrich Bader, and then Matthew Berry, who plays Laszlo in What We Do in the Shadows, and just tried to be as ridiculous as I could with my voice and just have fun with it, because it's like, it's our one chance to make people laugh and just be silly. And so every little bit was like, at one point stuff was like, oh, you know what, we're done, but we should have found a way to get a Wilhelm scream in there. I'm like, hold on. Went and found the Wilhelm scream. Cool. I think I found a place to get a Wilhelm scream. Boom. There it is. Let's go. That little bit was.
I did that too. I have a video on one of my Kickstarters that has a Wilhelm scream. It needed
that
it.
The little bit with Steph where she's saying going on an unexpected adventure. When I was out there in California, she took me out to the mountains near her, and we're just kind of walking around. And I turned the video camera. I was like, hey Steph, what are we doing? And she goes, we're going on an unexpected adventure. And I'm like, all right, that I'm pulling the audio off of that. That's going in the video too, just for the sake of doing it.
Oh my gosh, so funny. And so you and I have talked about this book before, that it's really in all ages. It's like Saturday morning cartoons. And I have a 7-year-old who is like off the charts in reading, but doesn't like anything that she reads. We go to the library and she can't pick out anything. Isn't that crazy? But yet she tests high. So this is one of those where I'm like, I'm always looking for something for her to read. And they love that graphic material, right? Like not explicit, I'm not I'm talking about graphic, like
pictures,
Dogman and Captain Underpants, and like they like that. And so I absolutely got this for her. And when I told her, I was like, hey, there's a book coming for you, she was so excited, Matt. She was so excited.
Love it. Well, one of the things that we like to impress on people in this, one of the reasons why this type of book we think trends more difficult on Kickstarter is because people see something like this, like, oh, all ages, does that mean it's for babies? And we're like, oh, that's not what it is. All ages. Think about when you're flipping through the channels and the Goonies comes on. Are you a kid and going to stop it? Yes. Are you Laurie Calcaterra sitting there, binding your books? Are you going to stop and watch it? Yes. Toy Story, same thing. There are certain things that, Looney Tunes, certain things that we as adults are going to always gravitate towards. I love the fact that we are in an era right now that says adults can be into fun stuff too. We don't have to, like, back in the 80s, 90s, it was like, you're going to grow out of that. Forget that crap. I literally still have every Lego I've ever had since I was 3 years old in my possession.
Who was it? It was a guest that I had. It was Barney, who does Story Comic. And he was talking about how, like, even before that in the 50s and the 60s, you weren't even allowed to partake in that stuff as a man. Right?
Yeah, forget
you
that
had to
nonsense.
be the stoic father, emotionless. You couldn't do fun things. It was like go to work and that was it. You read the newspaper and you're sour. But it's like now you can still collect baseball cards. You can read G.I. Joe. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm thinking too. It's like we watch. You got to tell me, this kind of reminds me of what's that one? Is it Hunger Teen Strike? Say it for me. The one that was on Cartoon Network. It's like a meatball.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Now that you can't remember,
one in the chat. Hunger Strike, Team Force, Aquaforce. This reminds me of that art style where it's like it really can be any age that you're reading
Yes.
this. It could be adult, it can be kid, it can be in between where it's like they could say something funny and the adults laugh and the kids are like, I don't get it.
Yeah, we try to do things like there's stories in here like Pinball Madness.
Thank
The kids
you,
get trapped.
zombie.
There you go. The kids get trapped in a pinball machine and have to play their way out. That trends much more towards something
Yeah.
that's going to appeal to an adult because we're the ones that were playing the pinball machine in the back of the bowling alley when we were younger. And so like, oh yeah, I remember when I played that pinball machine and that was cool. And one of the fun things about that story, the artist for this is named Raheel Mohsen. He's out of India. And when we wrote that script, which is the longest story in the Misfits catalog, when we wrote that, we handed it to him and we didn't realize, being in India, he'd never played a pinball machine before. So we had to go back to the basics and explain, this is what a bumper is, this is what a flipper is. And watching our artist be like, okay, cool. Can I put a trampoline colony in here? We're like, dude, do it. If that's what you do, it's like this childlike energy as he was understanding the pinball machine and the things that were making him have fun. You know, we're like, dude, if an adult is having fun drawing this, adults are going to have fun reading this.
Exactly. Hi, Grey Wolf. Good morning. I'm not sure I know this story. You've been on the show and you've talked about your other comics, but we've never really talked about the plot line for this. So what's the pitch and you have all these other stories that are already have been out, but tell me all about this, man.
Okay. So Misfitz Clubhouse basically follows four friends, Miki, Fairy, Slothy, and Stig, on just their unexpected adventures. So think about when you watch, say, Looney Tunes, and you get like 5 or 10 minute little cartoons that aren't really linked one to the other. It's just quick little clips of doing whatever is there. That's what happens in Misfitz Clubhouse. There's 10 stories, and all of them are only linked because Miki, Fairy, Slothy, and Stig are in there. But it's not like, oh, can I read Pinball Madness before I read Morty McFeathers is Missing? Of course, they're all just little stories that, you can just read little clips in there. So every one of them is just some random little thing we wanted to write. The very first story we wrote, which was the pilot episode, which is actually what got us on the publishers, because I don't want any asparagus. That's where you see the asparagus. When we wrote that, it trended a little bit younger than where we kind of settled on for the kids' ages now. But it was the story that got us out there into the market. But you look at like early Charlie Brown, early Mickey Mouse, they were a little bit different than where they kind of gravitated towards. So that's the very first story. And the kids are a little bit younger than everything else. So imagine the age that you would have for, where Charlie Brown is now, or where Gravity Falls, things like that might be. Wreck-It Ralph, the kids that are in that. So you have 10 stories in here. You've got I Don't Want Any Asparagus, we just talked about. Pinball Madness. Dress Up Mess Up is a Halloween-centric story. Morty McFeathers is Missing is there. Beach Bash Bonanza. That's the one where it's the first appearance of Captain Bluebeard, who is kind of the character that's in the main image. Then you've got Old Man Willow, which is the first appearance of the Bully Boys, which is Fritz Rhubarb, Melvin X Melvin, and Johnny Buttons, that you see at different times as well. Then Bruce McTutherson, Aquatic Investigator. Think about Fat Albert, where they would go back to the clubhouse so they could watch the Brown Hornet on TV. And it was like a series within a series. That's what Bruce McTutherson, Aquatic Investigator is. It's the kids' favorite episodic adventure. So they go back to their clubhouse, they flip open their laptop or their tablet, watch the one that's just dropped, and that is the first appearance of Bruce McTutherson as the Aquatic Investigator. You might see him elsewhere as stuffed animals, things like that, action figures, but that's the first time he gets his own story. Barrel Peril was a story we did that allowed people to get drawn into one of the previous issues. And then Talent Show Off, brand new story that is going to be in this issue. We get to see Fairy and Slothy in ways we've never seen them before. And then Glitch in the Matrix, which is actually going to be the debut of my youngest, my daughter Cameron, actually is coloring that one. And the reason for that is because we had originally done it, and like we had said previously, this book was supposed to come out a while ago. It didn't come out. And then we started doing Webtoon Canvas conversions for our stories. And in Webtoon Canvas, you have to have single panels, and it's a vertical scroll format, just like if you're reading a story online. And so to do that, you have to have the lettered version and the colored version pages completely separate. So that because you might format the panels differently. There's times we've had to add dialogue and extend stories to put them onto Webtoon Canvas just because of the way that the flow is. So for that one, because of hard drive crashes and some other things, we completely lost the original version of the colors and letters. Even the colorist at the time didn't have the separated version anymore. So we're like, well, for Webtoon Canvas, we need to recolor these pages. So Cameron started coloring them. And we were like, you know what? Cameron's version's pretty cool. Why don't we just put hers in the book? And so the brand new version is going to be in the book. And so it's going to be the first time she's ever got to actually color something for anything and
That's
be in the
awesome.
book. So it's going to be her debut there. So Glitch in the Matrix is where you see Darth Bluebeard that's in the main image. You see Slothzilla. There are some other versions of the kids where they kind of hop into other franchises that we got to have some fun with. And
Cool.
there you go.
Very cool.
And one last thing, which is a special little bonus that's not listed there. We had somebody that asked us if you could get drawn into this book. And we're like, well, the stories are done, so not really. But then we went back and talked to Raheel, and we figured out a way to get people drawn in. So there's going to be a little one-page extra bonus thing that we don't even have listed there, so that you can get drawn in. If you want to get drawn in, we can go from there.
That's cool. Surprise. People like getting drawn in.
Mm-hmm. Well, like my late brother had said, he impressed on me. He's like, you never want to be in the sales prevention department, and if you can do something, that's going to appeal to people, that's going to make them have fun and want to gravitate towards your product, you want to try and find a way to do it.
100%. Yeah, and don't make it more difficult. I think we were watching a different show. You were in the chat and said that, and I was like, that's smart. It's like, try to make things as easy as possible. And sometimes, it means creating redundancies. But
yes,
it's like if people can find the answer in a couple different ways, they're more likely to get there as opposed to not find any at all. So.
Absolutely. We had somebody that asked us about a larger end tier for the campaign, and we didn't have exactly what they were looking for. You could have picked a tier and then gone to the add-ons and click and done that. We're like, but that's asking somebody to take extra steps. Right. So we went out there and made them that tier and a couple other ones that we realized were missing. And then the next day, somebody came in and picked one of those other tiers it wasn't even in the campaign in the first place. So just goes to show that does create a benefit like that.
Interesting. And I always get requests when my campaigns are live for things that I have not put together. And that I always think that's great. I put it together. I like how there's now an option to do what's called a secret reward. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Where if I do this a lot of times for my Canadian backers because I don't ship internationally. Prices change so frequently. And it depends on what they want and the add-ons, and it's always wrong. So I always say, if you're a Canadian backer, tell me what you're looking for. I'll put it in a package. I can weigh it. And then everything is, the shipping is accurate based on what I weighed and what's in there, instead of trying to do add-ons. And now you're paying like $100 in shipping. That's dumb.
Yeah.
But I'll make a 1 of 1 and I'll put their name on it. But if someone's an idiot and I'm like, this one's just for Ray, he's a Canadian. And then someone else goes and grabs it. Then I'm like, well, now what? So that kind of solves that problem. It's great that someone else might pick it up, but then it's like, did you mean to do that? It just causes problems. Hey, Christopher Brown. Hello.
So that what you have on the page right now, that is the main cover. It's a brand new cover that was created for this, which is called Daredevils. And what we tried to do on this one was we wanted to kind of revisit what the original concept was, where you had the kids in their cart, outside playing and being silly. But we wanted to make sure that there was some callbacks to some of the characters you'll meet in the story. So obviously you see Bruce McTutherson jumping out of the water to hold the ramp up for him. You've got the dragon over there, which comes from the story Old Man Willow. And then in the water, you've got a couple other characters from on the left-hand side, you've got Sergeant Waldron and Detective Salamone from Bruce McTutherson, Aquatic Investigator, Captain Bluebeard. You've got the Bully Boys, and then you have a few little knuckleheads that are rolling down the hill in barrels. That's me and Steph and Raheel with this cat Courage that are in the barrels. You've got Bling Paws the alien in his spaceship up there, and then in the background you can see their clubhouse as well. So we wanted to just have some fun little callbacks, but to have the cover still centered on our 4 main characters. Then the next cover, which is becoming our most popular homage cover that we've ever done, which is pretty wild. So that one is from Emily Reset, who is getting her name known. She's a teen artist from this area, and we wanted to do a Mario Kart homage. And that is that's what this is. And what she did was she found characters from Mario Kart that she wanted to mash up with ours. We knew we wanted to have Super Stigio in the front, but then she was the one that went and found other characters and mashed them up with ours. My personal favorite is the guy that's flying off in the back, where she took Dry Bones and mixed her with Captain Bluebeard. So now we have Drybeard.
My favorite is the mushroom.
Yes. So, and then in the front, you've got, in the front, you've got Fairy, who's always wearing a red hoodie. So that's how, he obviously turned into Fairy the Red Shell. And then since Emily, this is the third variant cover that she's done for us. We got a couple of tiers. We have the Emily Risa tier, which has got her 2 Misfitz Clubhouse covers that she's done. And then she did a cover for Heirs of Isildur, The Perilous Prospects 4, which should be going to print soon. That is Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass. She did that homage cover for us. But then we also have the Emily Risa tier Ultra, which has the metal cover version of that Through the Looking Glass homage as well. So we try to find all kinds of fun stuff that we can do in this campaign.
You have to put it all in. You have to put it all in. Do it all.
That's right. That's all right. You never know what somebody's going to want. So then that cover there, that is our Don't Mess With Our Crew cover. So that is Fairy and Slothy like you've never seen them before from the Story Talent Show Off. So and that's also the basis for the socks that are in this campaign. So we have our Don't Mess With Our Crew socks.
I see what you did there. Sorry, I was drinking coffee, but
Crew
and the Crew socks. I love it.
That's right.
I love
Even though they're normal size socks, it's Don't Mess With Our Crew socks. But yeah, we had fun because now you get to see Fairy and Slothy, like they've never been before, and they are the basis for our socks.
When I see this image, that Gorilla song plays in my head. I'm happy. I'm feeling sad. I got sunshine. No? Okay.
But you know what, though? Here's the thing. If that's what you feel when you see that, I'm not going to tell you not to.
It's a good song. It's Clint Eastwood. It's a good one. Ooh, a sketch cover.
Yeah, and people have asked, they're like, you're doing a sketch cover on a 96-page book, and we're like, yeah, why not? Because
yes, we are.
Because here's the thing, we've had coloring covers for Misfitz Clubhouse before, but we've never had an actual sketch cover. We've done sketch covers for Tales from Nocturnia. We did 2 different ones for Heirs. We did a white cover, and then we did a reverse black sketch cover for Heirs of Isildur. But we've never done one for Misfits, and we're like, this is like the series that really is asking for a coloring cover. So we went ahead and did it. And we've had people do crazy stuff before. We had somebody at a show that wanted to pick up. We just had our our read cover of a sketch cover on our table because one of the corners was a little bent. And it was one of our reverse sketch covers. And a guy came over, bought a bunch of stuff. He's like, throw this in Noozle. I want this one. We're like, okay. A couple hours later, the guy comes back and he's like, yeah, I took your sketch cover over and gave it to one of the artists in the building. And he's like, I had them sketch you guys on your own sketch cover. So he went over and got this guy to do a reverse sketch cover of Steph and I on our sketch cover. We're like, dude, that's freaking cool, man. If that's what you want to spend your money on, why not? So having those options out there, we want to make sure that people have the ability to go and do fun stuff like that, because you could go to your favorite, like we're really good friends with Peter Raimundo, who did a lot of Disney art. You might go have Peter Raimundo sketch something fun on the Misfitz Clubhouse cover. Who knows?
That's cool. And I mean, like, do you ever think about doing one of those where you just take it with you when you're an MC and you see all these celebrities and they could just doodle on it?
You know what? I've never really thought about that, to get the celebrities to just doodle. Man, I know Steph is watching now. That'd be interesting to take a cover and just be up there, do the panel, be like, yeah, just draw something crazy on here and just kind of see what kind of mashup.
Just sign their name or something. But it would be a cool thing just for you as a memento, like all the people that you've interacted with, and if they leave their mark on it, so much the better.
Yeah, that'd be wild. Right? That's an interesting idea. Here
we are musing together. This is what creators do.
So as you can see, this is some of the sample art pages. Raheel is a complete nut job when it comes to his art, and I say that in the best of ways.
The best way.
Steph and I have our ideas, and we know how we want some things to be, and Raheel always takes those ideas and he's like, I'm going to ramp it up to the next level of ridiculousness. And then we get stuff like this. And it just is the perfect mesh point, the perfect combination of talents. Like, we know we like Misfits wouldn't exist without Steph and I, but it also wouldn't exist without Raheel, because Raheel is the one that knows how to make these characters look completely insane.
Yes, this is a family-friendly book, Chris. And yes, I will remind you to tell me the thing later.
Yes, family friendly book, and we like to what we like to say is we call our stuff coffee table safe, and what we mean by that is
Hey.
it's not exactly something that it's not for babies. It's something that a kid can read it and enjoy, an adult can read it and enjoy. And with our stuff, some stuff is really coffee table safe, like Misfitz Clubhouse. There's other stuff that it is coffee table safe, but it could be PG-13 because you could have like medieval decapitations or massacres, or people that have contemplated suicide, stuff like that, or death metal, extreme metal. But it's still stuff that is done in a tasteful way, so that way you don't have to worry about there being overt gratuity. If that's the kind of thing you want to do in your books, feel free. Not gonna shame you or disparage you for doing that, but that's just not the way that I operate. But yes, we actually had somebody buy this so he could go and take it, and he's going to put a couple copies in his third grade classroom so the kids can have fun with it. And he has got a couple copies for himself. We're like, dude, that's exactly what we want.
Hi, Steph. Nice to see you. Hope you had a good morning. Hope the kids are off to school okay. But I mean, like, if you guys look, these are just, it has a different tone for each of the stories. You can see, like, I like how the background behind the panels change. So you're in a different story, which is helpful for the kids. But it's still the same art style, this colorful, over the top, just great. It's just eye candy, in my opinion. It just draws your eye in. It's never boring, or there's never a throwaway panel. There's no fluff here. It's just always action and color and wonder. Excellent. Back for cover B. Run, Mario Kart cover.
I'm telling you, that cover, that's right now, there's actually more backers for the cover B than there is for cover A, which has never happened. This is the 14th campaign that we've launched and the 16th overall that we've either launched or managed. And we've never had a situation where anything other than cover A was the most popular cover. So we're like, that's pretty freaking awesome right now.
Yeah. That's usually the case, and it has been for me, although this campaign said Pancake really ran it for almost, it was close. But everybody loves their puppy. But yeah, so here it is, of course, here's all the different covers in one glance. I chose just the A tier. I thought that would, even though I really liked the Mario Kart one, I was thinking of my little, and she would definitely love this cover A. So that's the one I chose. So Sad Pancake is a phenomenon.
So one of the things that we didn't really get to see in here, just because we don't have it, I mean, I guess we have to look at it in the add-ons, but this is the first time we've actually had poker chips / game tokens for Misfitz Clubhouse.
Really?
So we've already done a couple for Tales from Nocturnia. We did one for Arrows of Isildur. This one, we've got the Bruce McToother chip. So Bruce has got his own game token / poker chip in this campaign.
Cool.
Along with the socks.
You guys have a game?
We don't, believe me, we want to, but we will have to find a way to have a game for this for sure.
I was gonna say, if you're already making game pieces, that would be great to incorporate the game pieces into an actual game. Christopher Brown is a game maker. Joe Solis' wife, Sarah Childs, she's also a game maker. So there's a couple in the madness.
And with us, we are all about stuff that extends our IPs out from just the printed book. We always say we want there to be something where when you are done reading it and you take that and you put it on your shelf, we don't want the IP to go onto the shelf and just be there with it. We want there to be extensions. That's why we've got the metal albums and the colored vinyl and all kinds of shirts and socks and other kinds of merch, because we want it to be something that is a part of your daily life, not just you read it and you put it down and it's done.
Right.
So there you can see there's the Don't Mess With Our Crew socks and cover tier. You've got the Emily Risa tiers. We have a tier in here that's got all the different Misfitz Clubhouse socks that we've done so far. You've got the Meet the Misfits socks, the Bruce McToother socks.
To me.
You've got the Misfit socks, you got the Bruce McToother socks, and then you've got the Don't Mess With Our Crew socks. We have a Draw Me In tier, which we actually have a couple different variations of the Draw Me In tier, so that way you can get all the covers and the items that are a part of the campaign so far, plus get yourself drawn in. And then you can see there's a couple that say collector's tiers. What we've done with those is there's been 5 official releases for Misfitz Clubhouse. You've got an ash can and you had the number one that came out through distribution. And then we have two different versions. We have our Kickstarted version number one, and we have Sharks, Dragons, and Little Red Wagons. What that tier that says the 5 issues does is you get one from each one of those releases. So you'll get one cover from each one of those 5. All the stories are in all the Shenanigans So Far. But if you're a collector and you want to make sure you can say, yes, I've got one from everything, you have that. And then you've got the Completionist Ultra that says 18 covers. There's been 18 covers in total that have been released for Misfitz Clubhouse. Some from Richard Fairgray and Peter Ramundo, Seda Wolf, all kinds of stuff like that. And then there was even a secret release. We did there was a Comic Tom homage of Calvin and Hobbes, and then there was a secret version of that, which was the nighttime version that's never really officially been released, but you can go find it online. And we have like 10 copies of that in our inventory. So that 18 issue version has all 4 versions from all the Shenanigans So Far, and then every version we can get our hands on from all the different releases. So if you're like, hey, I want every possible cover, there you go.
And this is smart too. I like how, I mean, this is one thing I wish I could do, where I had other IPs under my belt, but I don't. I just do Path, but you have all your other books that you can pick up here. So let's say, like I'm short on I Am Keto, but I'm picking up a book for my kid, but it's like, okay, now I can pick up that third. I didn't know there was let me get that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this definitely helps the campaign, and you just have really cool stuff. The metal music. Do you have any leathers? Not on this.
There's not any leather in this campaign.
Yeah.
But
you usually do on the other one.
Yeah, so I don't know if we put them into the add-ons on this one, but we could. Like we've done horse heads, your wearable dragon masks.
They're super cool.
Yeah, gauntlets. We've done all kinds of cool stuff with our leatherworking partners, and we try to normally put that into the background because, like we did D&D, we did like dice trays and like foldable dice trays, and they actually took our Tales from Nocturnia logo and etched it into the center of it, so that way it was legitimate branded merch. You guys have probably seen us, or you may not have seen us, when Steph and I do live shows. We're always dressed in a variation of steampunk, and the goggles that we have are custom made from GB Leatherworks, and they have our little emblem on the side of the goggles as well. So we truly have like our own line of stuff through GB Leatherworks. So yes, I probably need to go out there and take a look and see if there's things we can put into this campaign. I know when we do Tatsumi, there's going to be some more leatherwork, and get to Heirs of the Sealdery will as well.
These socks, are they blacklight? I'm sure they are. Like, so blacklight, they must glow.
So they aren't, but we did have somebody come by. At the last show we're at, and they had blacklight pens, and they were shining it on the different stuff that we had at the table. And obviously, our guitar picks are glow in the dark. And some of the stuff actually did reflect interestingly under those black lights. So it's not
just like the color, like those vibrant neon colors just pop whenever there's a black light.
So we definitely try to make sure that people want silly socks. They want stuff that's going to pop and show and all that. And one of the things we want to make sure that people know as well, what you see in the campaign right now is legitimately what's in the campaign right now. There are some tiers that say when you back it, you're going to get everything that's in here so far. There are some things that we held back that we have ready to go, that once we get to certain levels, you might unlock a stretch goal that's going to be a benefit to current backers. They might be a backer kit incentive, but we do have unlockable items that are going to be in the campaign, hopefully, as soon as we start getting farther up in the campaign, that could be additional items. We actually had one of our guys that wants to back everything. We're like, dude, hold a couple bucks back, because there's going to be some other stuff that's going to come in that you are definitely going to want to get your hands on.
Yeah, and I think that's a good tactic too, where it's like mid-campaign to roll out some new add-ons, because there could be someone that's like, oh, I really like that. It helps when you're in that, for us as creators, where you're in that plateau.
Yes.
Like nothing's happening and it just drives you crazy. It's just even to have like a $6 boost or a $2 boost, even for your own sanity.
And with this one, we've started to kind of gravitate towards running our campaign 16, 17 days. That's the sweet spot for us, because the shorter you make your campaign, the shorter that mid-campaign, dead point is. For this one, We ran it 23 days for two reasons. One, because of the type of title it is and making sure that we gave ourselves enough room to be able to promote it. But also, if we would have ran it for 17 days, Steph and I would be on the show floor at Spookala, doing our stuff with the celebs and the interviews and things like that. And we didn't want to be ending a campaign while we had a different focus. So we made sure to go the 22, 23 days so that we could end it after we were done with Spookala.
That makes sense. It's always important because I think I did that once where I shortened my campaign, but I didn't realize there was like Father's Day, which was, there was Father's Day, there was 4th of July, there was a debate in there. Like we lost a bunch of days. So even though I did a shorter campaign, it was like, it was a little too short. You got to pay attention, unfortunately. But I don't know. That's that one of those things where it's like you have to look at what works best for the property, like you said, because Misfitz Clubhouse is different than Heirs of Isildur. You know what I mean? So it just depends on the property, depends on the month you're running in, depends on what's going on in current events.
And the reason, and two, is like we wanted to make sure, like we've actually had, a couple people take the retailer tiers. We wanted to make sure that the retailers out there, we know some stores that ordered Misfitz Clubhouse and did not get it through distribution. And it kind of, started and stopped a couple times there. And they didn't lose confidence in our title. They lost confidence in the person that was listing it. And we wanted to make sure that they knew that we were going to take our time to do it right. And if you're ordering this from us, you're going to get it. You're going to get it soon.
Right.
And you can be confident that this is not going to be what happened elsewhere, that we are going to make sure we make good on everything we're trying to do.
It's such a hard thing when you first get into indie comics and you're like, a lot of times I remember just myself where I was like, okay, I'm going to build a name for myself and then I'm going to get picked up by a publisher who's going to push my product and then I've made it. Right. And then you get in here and you're like, it's almost better if I just do it myself.
Yeah, it's tough because you don't want to disparage the publishers that are out there.
Right.
Because everybody's out there trying to do their best, even where we are with, they're trying to do their best. We had great experiences on the publisher. We have access to some shows that we never would have had, access to certain experiences we never would have had without them. So we definitely don't ever want to say that that it was all negative. It was mostly positive. Right. If it wasn't for the publisher, Misfitz Clubhouse wouldn't have existed because we were actually challenged by one of our friends, Richard, who was heading up their all ages division to do Misfitz Clubhouse. And if he wouldn't have been the one that was like, put that idea in our heads, we probably wouldn't have pushed it forward as much as we did. But I think that there's far too many people out there that have that mentality of once I get to a publisher, then they're going to do it all. And that is the worst mentality I have ever heard, because nobody is ever going to be as in love with your IP as you should be. And if you are not out there promoting your stuff as hard as you can, a publisher can have 10, 20, 50, 100 titles on there. If they gave everybody their time equally, think about how much time in a day they would be able to devote to your title. Not much at all.
Right.
So you have to partner with them to try and get your stuff out there. And so if you think it's going to just be, I'm going to go get with a publisher and then, I'm just going to be able to kick my feet back, you're doing it wrong. Because
it's just the wrong mentality to have for the few reasons that you brought up. But that I think is common. I see that a lot. And I've seen, other creators maybe fall into that pitfall where it's like, oh, well, no, you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to get me here and you're supposed to do all these things. And it's like, no, it's a partnership. It's everybody.
Absolutely partnership. And even stuff like this, even something like with you and I sitting here, you've got to partner with other creators too, even if it's just spreading the positive word. I mean, with the things I say about you, people might be in the chat being like, man, he's blowing smoke up your butt big time. No, I really do.
I'll
when I
pay
say
you $20 later, it's all right.
That's right. Hey, that's fine. When Laurie, when I say you're at the top of your game, I'm not saying that there's not ever room to improve, but I'm saying you right now in this period of time, you do some of the most original things with Path of the Pale Rider, and your fan base understands that and your fan base knows it, and they support it with their dollars. Again, when your campaign launched in a very tough economy, your campaign blew up at the beginning. And I was just like, wow. I mean, normally, your average backer at the beginning was like $120 per person. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, she is killing it. That's great. And it's because you put a lot of time, a lot of effort. You can tell that you really believe in your title. You believe in making fun products so that people can enjoy what you're doing. And, you have to be celebrated for that because, I live by a phrase that says people want to hear about a band, not from a band. And you can go, I'm so good. My stuff is awesome. My stuff is amazing. And nobody wants to hear that from you.
Right.
But if somebody else who has no vested interest in what you're doing is going to say that, to me, that means a lot more because I don't have any, I'm not, even though we joke about it, I'm not getting some kickback for promoting your stuff. But if people hear somebody like myself or somebody like Pops or whomever that is promoting you, then you're like, you know what? They don't have any reason to be saying that. So maybe I need to go listen to what they're saying because they're going to be promoting something because they believe in it, not because their pocketbook, not because they need to go get their grand piano tuned up in the background.
The Elton John will be here later. But this is the hard part though, because us as creators understand that, but I have this whole fandom that loves my stuff, but how do I get them to talk about my stuff? You know what I mean?
It's tough. I mean, we've tried to do things and it doesn't always work. Sometimes let's try to incentivize it. Hey guys, look, if you put a post up there, if you talk about what you think of us, we might go and pull something from what you say. That might become a pull quote for the back of our book. That might be something that, we might share elsewhere. We might have, a page on our next Kickstarter that might have those kind of quotes in there. That doesn't always work, but let them know, hey, look, we really appreciate it. It's not just going to fall into a void. If you go put a comment up there like that, it might find a way to make it into the material.
Mm-hmm. Because here's this thing. I like TikTok, and there's this whole phenomenon called book talk.
Okay.
And book talk has actually saved. Yeah. Did you? That's awesome. Thank you, Zombie. And I mean, don't get me wrong. You guys, there are a ton of supporters out there who do amazing stuff and share. I'm not trying to say that nobody does, but I'm just saying, as a creator, as an indie creator, that word of mouth is so important. Hey, George Medina, nice for checking in. Hey, how are you? But to have that, people just to read your stuff and be like, I just finished Path of the Pale Rider 6 and you guys need to read this. Not even say anything, you know what I mean, about what it is. But yes, book talk is huge. And it has saved places like Barnes and Nobles because people are listening to recommendations from other book talkers and going to the store and buying them. It's driving dollars to the store. And so how can we create an indie book talk almost where it's like, hey, if you like this, check out this and maybe I'm just going to do that. Maybe I'm just going to do that on my TikTok. I read enough indie. Let's do it.
That might be something that needs to get done for sure. And I tell you, I definitely appreciate the people that are out there. There are some people that share and push the agenda a lot more than we do. But I really appreciate the stuff that they do. I know John Westhoff is always out there sharing stuff. David Delb is always out there sharing stuff. There's a lot of people that are really putting their heart and soul to trying to get other creators where they need to be. And I appreciate that stuff a lot. I know for me, and I know for Steph, we always get a little hesitant because we want to make sure that we're not sharing too much and creating a white noise that's out there. Because there can be so many shares that it becomes white noise. So we try to make sure that we share the right amount so it doesn't just become something where people are like, well, there's 10 people that have all shared the same 10 things 100 times, and now my feed is just nothing but shares. And so they just silence you. So we try to be right there on the cusp. And so we always are trying to figure that out because it's tough when, algorithm, emails get, posts get downgraded, emails get sent to spam, BackerKit launch stuff gets sent to promotions. It's tough because you're like, you know that you'll get to the end of your campaign every time and somebody's going to message you and they're going to go, oh, I didn't even realize you had a campaign that just ran. And you're like, I don't understand how this is possible.
That's 100% of the time that happens. But
you're like, it doesn't make sense. But, but that's because so many posts are
It's
hidden
so
and so many
many
posts are
posts.
downgraded. It's hard to know which is going to be the one that is going to get through to those people.
Yeah, and I mean, like, as soon as you figure out, the algorithm changes anyway.
Yep. I mean, now Facebook will send you these nonsensical things that are like, this person commented on a post, and you're like, it's not even a post that you were even a part of. It's just
Right.
like, Laurie commented on a random post about hot sauce, and you're like,
Right.
like, no offense, but I'm like, why do I care? Why do
Who
I care?
cares? Right, exactly. Where
So,
I'm
but
like, I made coffee, and Matt is like, all right,
yeah, it
later."
wasn't even like in a thread that I had anything to
Right.
do with, and it's just
I don't drink
you
coffee.
never know what that algorithm is going to do, and it's tough. It's
It's
tough. You've always
bizarre.
got to be
I'm
looking,
starting to
and
get these DMs that are like, here's a memory from this DM chat group. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't like that at
who
all.
asked for this?
That's so weird. Yeah, that's so weird. You're like, here's a DM from here's a memory from your private chat, and you're like, what?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm like. What? Who asked for this? I don't even care. Like,
You sent this inappropriate meme in a DM a year and a half ago. Let's celebrate it. You're like, dude,
I
what?
want to
No.
relive this awkward moment. Thank you.
Yeah, no, forget that.
All right. So it is my goal in 2025 to try and build an indie talk. Eh?
Dude, I think that sounds good. I think that
I
sounds
think we should
good.
do it.
Well, I can tell you, you know what? And Steph is in the chat. I can tell you that that's something that we might be able to contribute slightly. We have a section, we do it in our newsletter, the Blog of Destiny. And from time to time, we have a section that's called What Are We Consuming?
Yeah.
And What Are We Consuming is all about shows that we watch, books that we read. Steph is a massive audiobook listener, because when you're somebody that runs 100 miles in a month, you've got to have something in your ears when you're doing that. So she consumes audiobooks like there's no tomorrow. So it could be audiobooks, it could be me and and music that we're going to recommend. It could be TV shows. We just finished watching Paradise, and that is one of the best overall shows that I've ever seen a single season for. If you haven't watched Paradise, that's all I'm going to say.
What's that one
because
again?
it's Paradise is on Hulu, I believe.
Okay.
Is it Hulu? Steph, tell us in the comments. Paradise is
it zombies?
No, it's not zombies at all. And I will say this, because episode 1 has got the most insane swerve I have ever seen in a show ever.
Uh-oh.
That's all that I can say, because if you know anything about it, like I would recommend to anybody, if you want to go watch Paradise, do not go look up reviews. Don't look up anything about the show. I knew nothing about Paradise when we first started watching it, and watched episode 1 and got to the end and was like, what in the freak just happened? What an unbelievable swerve that literally you feel like you're watching one show and you get to the end and it is a completely different show, and it's just incredible. So don't go look up anything on it, but I encourage you, when you are done with this, you want to go to Hulu, watch Paradise, watch at least that first episode and be like, wow, just incredible. And from a writer's perspective, it's written in a way that you're like, wow, I wish that I could put something together like that. And I look at shows like the live action One Piece and like Paradise, and I always say, you want to know what your concept is, you want to know what your climax is, and you need to figure out how long it's going to take you to get there. And the final episode of the season, they implanted so many things along the way to get to that resolve at the end, and you're like, bam, crushed it to get to that end point, resolve everything that needs to be resolved in season 1, leave open a legitimate opening for a cliffhanger so you can have a good season 2. Probably the best single season of something that I've seen since the live action One Piece series.
Okay,
So
well,
that's
I'm told I have to go. I think I don't usually watch Hulu. I think we have Hulu. I'll have to go look.
Yeah,
but
you want to watch that
on ADHD Theater. I think you guys should watch an episode, don't you?
Yes, you want to go. Don't tell anybody anything about it. Don't go read anything. Don't go read reviews. Just watch episode 1 and see if I'm telling you the truth about this crazy stuff.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. The one I was thinking of, there's a new zombie series. That's where is it? It's on Tubi. It's called Die Alone. That's the one I was thinking of. It has Carrie Ann Moss and Frank Grillo. who I like
awesome.
both of them as actors and actresses, but it's zombie
Yes.
related. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I try to watch some zombie movies, but I'm so I've seen enough of them where it's like sometimes I can't even finish. I tried watching the Dead Don't Die, and that had
Oh
like
no.
a stellar cast, right? It was Bill Murray and
And
John
the
Glover
dude from
and
Star Wars,
yeah, Kylo Ren, and that's his
Kylo Ren.
name.
Yeah,
Um,
that's his real
what is
name.
it?
That's what his real
Yeah,
name
that's his
is.
real name from now on. And then the lady, what's her name? The samurai mortician.
Yes, I
She's
forget
been
what
in
her
a ton
name
of
is.
stuff. Tilda Swinton. But
Yeah.
I couldn't even finish it. I was like,
Oh,
it is
it's
so dry. It is so not funny.
it
It
is
just didn't hit.
actually we actually saw that in the movie theater. Stuff was in
I'm
town to do some
sorry.
shows, and we're like, "Yo, we'll go down. We'll go watch The Dead Don't Die." And we have talked about that for so long. About that movie was one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like
It
they tried to
probably
be
is.
funny. They tried to be funny. They tried to be cheeky, break the fourth wall, and all that. But I've never seen a movie in my life that missed on all
So
levels
many
as bad.
levels.
Yeah.
And I was, yeah, I think I had it on a couple times. I tried to watch it like 3 or 4, and I would like get like through 15 minutes and just not care. Um,
Yes.
so I'm glad when there's new stuff that's out. Zombie genre, we'll see. We'll see. I'll make my, judgment on that one, but I'm definitely going to go check out Paradise for
Yes. And
sure.
I'm gonna keep on that because I definitely want to know. We definitely want to know what you feel. You can private
Well,
message
and
us on
I'm
that.
one of those a-holes that'll be like, he did it and this is why, and I ruin it for everybody. So a
Well,
lot of
that's
times
so.
I don't say
Just message us in the chat.
yeah,
Message us
I'll
in our
do
private
that
chat.
because I'll be like, all
Yes.
right, this is, and I don't know how many movies my husband is like, we're not going to the movies together anymore, Laurie.
Well, I can tell you that's one of those that again with the One Piece live action, I look at those as kind of like writing classes in a sense
Yeah.
because I want to feel
Really?
like and when we put stuff
Part of
together,
One Piece live action.
I think One Piece live action is just an incredibly done show in the fact
Really?
that so if you look at the resolve in One Piece live action, you get to the episode 7, episode 8. Again, everything that they put in those original episodes, the 1 through 7, gets resolved in 8. There's things in like 2 through 6, and you're like, where is this going? Am I watching the same? But it all
Stop.
makes sense, and you get to that end. And you're like, well, that was well done. That was really well put together. And we try to keep that same mentality when we're putting our books together as well, because
Yes.
we think there's a trust relationship between the creator and those that are reading the books. And we want to make sure that they know, and it could be you as Laurie Calcaterra, who's back Misfitz Clubhouse, that when you put your time and your money behind what we're doing and you support what we're doing, that you can trust that this is going to be a book that goes somewhere. There's going to be quality in the production of it, so that way you feel that your time and your money is well spent, because we all only get a finite amount of time on this planet.
Yeah.
And I know that it pisses me off when I watch something or spend money on something and it's garbage.
Waste of time.
Yes, we don't.
My time is so my time is my commodity, right?
Yes.
Because I could spend money to have somebody do stuff for me, but like you said, I spend a lot of time working on my own stuff, which means I get very little time. It's Tom Hutchinson will vouch for when they're always talking about movies. I'm like, haven't seen it, have no idea, don't plan on watching it. Like, I don't have time for that. So when I try to watch something and it's just a failure, that's most of the time I just bail. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I'll get all the way through and be like, again, that was 2 hours of my life. I'm really disappointed. I should have been just doing something else.
Well, and with the stuff that Steph and I do, where with me doing panel hosting and us doing interviews and things like that, we from a business perspective have to watch stuff like, because I've probably had I've lost count to this point, and I might be overstating, but I feel like I've had 20 different people from the Scream franchise on the stage with me.
Yeah.
And so
you need to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's been times like I've probably watched Scream 4 2 or 3 times because, I'm like, okay, well, I've got this character, this actor who was in Scream 4. I've got to go back and rewatch what their scene was, what their character motivation was, so that we can talk to them intelligently. And then it could be just because they're in Scream and I'm on a Scream panel. Well, you've got this person, you need to know the other things they've done. And, like we did Rory Culkin. And
Yeah.
Laurie Calcaterra was up on stage with us, and I had just watched another movie with him, and his resolve for his character was like betrayed by his friend, stabbed with a knife to death, and that was in the one film, and it was also exactly what happened to him in Scream. And so kind of joked with him about it, and he's like, dude, he's like, I've died on camera like 15 times, and he's like, I'm one of the most killed actors ever. And he's like, literally, if I get a script and I'm not getting murdered, then I don't even want the script. And we wouldn't have known that if we didn't have to go extend the octopus arms out and find those other films. But the actors really appreciate the level of research that Steph does, because she does a lot of the initial research, so we can kind of know what movies need to be watched, what shows need to be watched, what other things we need to focus on. But they've really appreciated the fact that we put the time into their hour on the stage not being a waste of time. They know they're going to get up there and there's going to be good conversation.
Yes.
It's not just going to be, this is really cool. What's your favorite food? What's your favorite color?
Matt, I want you to interview someone like that just so we can have it.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
How about this? You ready? How about this? Hey, Laurie, how you doing? So, Laurie, what's your favorite food to put hot sauce on?
I like wings.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Do you like
awesome.
wings?
Only if there's no sauce on them. Laurie, do you like here?
Sorry.
Because you've all seen interviews like that. Nobody wants that. And the other thing we know too is that a lot of these interviews, because of the kind of shows we do, there are people out there recording them, some professionally recording them, and they get their money. I mean, I've seen like some of these interviews where there's been like 6-7 different variations of the full interview or clips of it online shortly after these shows. I mean, you're talking 1,000, 2,000 people in the audience. These are big time panels. Spookala is one of the fastest growing, most influential horror conventions and pop culture conventions in the country right now. Not saying it's the biggest. I'm saying from the growing perspective, it's one of the fastest growing. And so there's a lot of people there. They're getting some good A-list celebrities. I mean, last show we had the first ever panel interview with freaking Howie Mandel.
Wow.
Which is why it was the Gremlins reunion. So we had the director, the main actor, and Howie Mandel from Gremlins. So, they're getting some pretty wild people on the stage. And so you have to be ready, because imagine 6-7, live streams or people that are up there showing this and getting up there like, I don't want to be the worst version of a meme. I don't want to be the person that, is like, falls off the stage and, now I'm the meme up there or says something really stupid on the stage. So we have to prepare, and it comes down to stuff. Yeah, we got to be.
And it just lives on the internet forever, and people clip it, and now it's a TikTok, right? And then it's just, damn it. By the way, I will do this. Okay, Glenn. All right. Glenn. He tried earlier, and I didn't do it, so now we do it. Thank you. Moving on. I'm going to be a meme for that. Thanks, Glenn.
So will it make you happy if I do the same thing for Glenn?
Yeah, do it.
Glenn, what's up, Glenn?
Got to have some operatic voice in the applause. We're going to have the best clips from this show today, I'll tell you.
Going to be some good screen grabs, that's for sure.
He is amused. Hey, you can meme me anytime. So funny. You are famous, whether you want to be or not.
Gonna make you famous.
He is famous, right? What's the author of 007? James Bond? Ian Fleming?
Must be his long lost twin of a roommate formerly.
I think they're related. No, they're related. For real. I'm not joking. He'll tell us. Anyhow, so Misfitz Clubhouse, well on its way to do its thing. What's coming next after this one?
So at the end of May, we are super excited. We've got Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress #1, brand new series from us. You can go up and you can follow it right now. It is at tinyurl.com/Tatsumi, TSM, for Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress. This spins off from our our book I Am Keto, which was Far East fiction, horror, Far East fantasy horror. So when we did that book, we said that it was going to end Keto's time in the Yamaran Empire, in that environment, in that universe, because Keto becomes a character in the Heirs of Isildur story. He gets pulled through a portal, and he's now a part of our steampunk story. We never said that we were never going to go back to that universe and that environment. So we find out that Tatsumi, spoiler alert, also survived in very precarious ways in I Am Keto. So we now get to follow her on her path of retribution and revenge for this vampiric, demonic, zombie type crew that has destroyed and completely eviscerated the Yamaran Empire. One of the interesting things about it when we go to Tatsumi, the Serpent Mistress, is she knows that she's the only one that's left, and there's no possibility for her to be able to go and fight this horde on their own. So she, at the beginning of the book, which, you're going to see on the page, so it's like we're giving away too much stuff, she just goes out on a fishing boat. She's like, I don't know where I'm going, but I know I can't be here right now. And she ends up meeting with these other characters. And as we say right there, imagine Pirates of the Caribbean and the live action One Piece meeting your favorite martial arts heroine. That's awesome. What's going to happen in this story. It's a swashbuckling adventure that is going to have her meet characters that she never knew existed. In the Yamaran Empire, they were a very segmented, set off bunch that didn't have any reason to go outside of their mountainous kingdom. And for most of the people in Yamaran Empire, they didn't even know that a kingdom outside of there existed. The kingdom was, or the empire was, surrounded by these mountains with these mystical purple orchids on them, which basically provided a barrier. They weren't able to see anything on the outside. People on the outside never saw anything on the inside. So they didn't have any reason to go outside of there. Everything they had was inside those walls and inside that fortress. And now Tatsumi is forced to have to go outside of there, and she meets these characters that we've had so much fun being able to draw. We've never had a story that has had any kind of pirate or swashbuckling tone to it. So it's been super fun being able to explore those characters. We know where we're going to go in this arc. We're already working on issue 2 with our artist, and it's going to be super freaking fun.
So how many do you have planned for this one? How many issues?
So right now for the arc that we're working on right now, we believe that it's going to be 5 issues. And this is going to be the first time in a while we've actually done something that's going to be an actual typical comic length, 32 pages. Most of what we do is perfect bound with a spine, but we wanted to challenge ourselves and more challenge me, because Steph has always wanted to do some shorter issues, but challenge us to make sure that we are pushing forward the overall story, but also to have some fun set action pieces in every story that are different from the one before. So the action pieces you get in issue 1 are not going to be the same action style pieces that you get in issue 2. The ones in issue 2 are ridiculous. We already know what's going to happen in issue 3, and we can't wait to get there. But we think it's going to be 5 issues, but don't hold us to that, because like with Heirs of Isildur, the Perilous Prospects, we thought it was going to be 3. Then the story kind of necessitated being 4, and then all the content made it have to be 4 and 5. So that one is definitely 5. So we haven't plotted for 5, but we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. Glenn says, will the book be available on PDF? The postage to the UK from the US is horrendous.
Glenn, absolutely. Absolutely. Misfitz Clubhouse, Tatsumi. We always have digital tiers. There are digital tiers on every campaign that we do. Even if you're somebody that's like, like Laurie said, we have a ton of add-ons in our campaigns, and we make sure that all the Heirs books, I Am Keto, Tales from Nocturnia, all those things in our add-ons, all the PDFs are there, and there's PDF packs as well.
Yeah, it's super important these days because, again, there's different confines. So it could be the funds, because I don't want to pay for shit. I don't want it to get lost on the way to you, because that happens. But also, there's not a ton of space everywhere either. Like, if I ordered every single campaign physically, my husband would kill me. And 2, I wouldn't have anywhere to put them all. So sometimes they're just happily on my iPad where I can read them in the dark. It's great. So,
and I completely agree. And especially as a creator, we want to be able to back as many other campaigns as possible and be able
Yes.
to show them. And, you know, I'm like, I would rather back it digitally because for us, you know, if we go and back a campaign physically and it's $6 shipping, which is the right price for shipping nowadays, we could back it digitally and that $6 could go towards somebody else's campaign and help them get a backer and help them get some more support too. And one of the things we did in this campaign in Misfitz Clubhouse.
In Misfits?
Yeah, in Misfits, the PDF is $10 for the 96 pages. But we know for some creators, they're going to be like, man, that's kind of tough to shell out $10 for a PDF because they're trying to spread the wealth. So we have a tier called Sample Size Me, which is $5, and it's basically the size of a single issue. Steph and I are going to take 3 of the stories and we're going to put it together in a way that's not been organized before. It might be one from the debut, one from Stark Strides, Little Red Wagons, but we're going to find 3 stories we're going to put together in that Sample Size Me. So if you're somebody that wants to just support the campaign and you want to get in there, we made there be a tier that you can get something physical, it's not physical, something actual, so that way it's not just, let's just throw, $4 in a campaign and say we want no reward. We want you to have a reward. So we have that Sample Size Me for $5, or you can get the full PDF for 10. And if you get the Sample Size Me, and you're like, hey, this is cool, I really wish I would have backed the full thing, let us know. We'll figure something out for you to be able to kind of upgrade to that, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you have one of the most comprehensive websites that I've ever seen. So there's always opportunities, right, for people to sample size me and decide, okay, well, this, again, it's a sample. It's a free sample. You get to taste it. You get to decide if it's for you. And then when you decide it's for you, you can go purchase the full thing.
And with Misfitz Clubhouse, it's literally going to be the size of a single issue comic. So it's not like we're talking about here's 6 pages. It's going to be
it's
going to be
24 pages. Yeah, you're getting your money's worth. Yeah, absolutely. So here's a question I have. So you have all of these stories, and like Heirs of Isildur, look at how far this thing goes. And this is honestly me just picking your brain, because I'm getting further into my story and that catch-up tier is getting more and more pricey. So I'm wondering, do you have a sample size where it's just like maybe the first 3 issues, maybe the first 4 issues of your series, and then you market it that way along with the full catch-up tier? Like, how do you, because I mean, as a backer, when I'm looking at a series that's 24 issues, I really like the idea, but I can't afford to get all 24 issues at once. What's your thought on that?
So what we try to do, and we try to encourage people, is if you've got a series that is 24 issues, let's say that's what you got, you need to make sure you find ways you can take that series and break it up into smaller arcs, because it's a lot easier for somebody, I think, to look at a series and go, okay, well, they're on arc 4, issue 1. So all I have to do is go get the PDF of arc 1, arc 2, arc 3, and then the first issue of 1, because now you're getting 4 PDFs instead of going, I've got to go get the individual issues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in arc 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in arc 2.
But do you do that with your physical books too? Like for example, should I just have a tier of just like my trade paperback, even though we're on issue number 7? So that way it's like I can afford the first 4. And if I like it, I'll come back for the next one, or I'll go purchase from your website. I think that would be smart, because
100%.
When I'm at 7, it's like, that's
if you've got a trade for a certain portion of it, absolutely make tiers where they're like, hey, here's the first 6 issues, and then now you have the 100% do that, because you might have readers out there that they just want to be able to read. They don't want to have to
purchase all 8 of them at one time, all 12. It's like you could get just the first part of it, because mine is like it's like a movie, so there's act 1, act 2, act 3,
right? So
I think that's how I'll break it up, and I think moving forward I'll have tiers like that, where it's like you can have the first 4 digitally, you can have the first, just get the trade, but if you want to do the all-in, you can do the trade plus 5, 6, 7 to get caught up, stuff like that.
And you never know. I would suggest having both in there, because you might have somebody like, no, I want every individual issue. You might have somebody that says, I want to have the most efficient way, dollar and book wise, to get everything. So 100% I would do that.
Yeah.
And you look at Heirs, and a good example, the first arc we did for Heirs, which was more of an illustrated novel, it was more prose than anything, had 11 issues that tied into the Crossroads Conundrum book. So you have Crossroads Conundrum, the album, and you have the Crossroads Conundrum arc. And we did 11 comic-sized issues that were basically more illustrated novels. But now the only way to really get that is in the trade paperback version of that. And so, like, if somebody wants to get I want one of every cover you've ever done, then we'll go dig through the boxes and get the individual issues. But we would only put that trade paperback on the shelf because then it becomes that much more palatable. Like you were saying, if you go to a live show and you see somebody that's like, here's my 26 issues of stuff, you're probably going to walk right past the table because it's too overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah. When we go to shows now, we will only put out basically one copy of each version of the book, like one regular cover, because we'll do 4 to 6 covers for every Heirs of Isildur issue. It'll be one cover, and then we'll also have the homage covers, because we always have an homage so people can look and see homages across of Metalocalypse, Stranger Things, Nightmare Before Christmas. They can see those versions, but they can also see the regular 1, 2, 3 on the table. And then if they like it and they want to go ahead and get it, then we're like, okay, cool. You want to get issue 1? If you look in the stack that's on the table, there's a couple other covers there, and it helps them to not be so overwhelmed. So in what you're saying, finding ways to help the new person to not get overwhelmed.
On board, right. And exactly. Not be overwhelmed in material, but also not be overwhelmed financially. Because once they're into my story, they're in.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, so it's like, it's just read issue 1. So I might do that too, where it's like, okay, we're so far into the story. You just want a physical number 1. You can get that. You want just the trade paperback or first 4. I can do that. You know what I mean? Or if you want to get caught up on the whole series, and I recommend that you do because it's, doing its thing right now, you can do that too. It just makes it cumbersome when you have like 16 different tiers all for catch up. I think that's
and the thing for us too. Point. Oh, 100%. And the thing for us too that honestly, which is with Heirs of Isildur, which the last thing that we just finished up, we always have like the previously on or the setup pages at the beginning. We try to make sure that there is a quick thing about the characters. Sometimes it's before the issue starts, sometimes it's at the end if there's spoilers, things like that. But we do that because we want somebody who's like, okay, I just want to go pick up Heirs of Isildur, the Perilous Prospects 4. I don't want to get any of this stuff before. We try to make sure there's stuff in there that's going to be just enough for them to understand and care about the storyline and the characters if they only have that book. And that, honestly, for Perilous Prospects 4 was one of the most difficult sets of pages to write, because it's like, you've got a lot of stuff going. You're talking 44 to 56 pages that have already been written for this per issue. How can you compartmentalize and summarize down the important parts that have relevance? So we gave ourselves 3 pages at the beginning of the story. And then for this one, we said, okay, we're just going to set a map for them of here's the characters and here's where the characters are when you start. You're going to see on page 1, you're going to see these characters there. Who are these characters and why should you care? And so we tried to make sure to do that every time as well, so that way, if somebody's just picking up one issue randomly, that they've got enough information. And now, granted, it's not the entire story. There's no way to tell the whole story, nor should you, in a 3-page summary. Right. But they have just enough meat there to be able to understand and enjoy the stuff that's coming later.
Interesting. I didn't think about doing that. I don't know. I kind of don't want people to know what's going on. Like, just jump in with both feet and you'll figure it out. But I'm not going to tell you all the things until we get later, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. We definitely aren't doing anything that's going to spoil the issue later. Yeah, it's like, okay, so, here's the setup, here's what happened before, and leading up to this. And when you see this character, we just don't want them to get 20 pages in and go, I have no idea who these characters are and why should I care?
That's me half the time. I'm like, who is this? Well, I don't know. I don't care. There was something just recently I was watching too, where I was like, Dominic, I have no idea what I'm watching. It's like, turn it off. Another thing I just started watching that was insane is I think it's called Delicious in Dungeon. Have you heard of that?
Not heard of that.
It's an anime. It's like a D&D based anime. Okay. and they go into this dungeon, and it's like you have to carry all your supplies with you when you go on your adventure. And these guys kept running out of food. So one of the characters was like, what if we cook the monsters that we kill? So the whole series is they're on a mission. Like there's one of their characters at the very beginning that like got separated, and she's at the bottom of the dungeon. They got kicked out of the dungeon. So they have to start over. So they're on their way back down into the dungeon to rescue this character, but they're eating these things along the way. It's like running mushrooms, and like they just ate, what are they eating? It was a parasite that came out of a giant squid. And I was like, that draws the line for me. I don't want to eat parasites.
Oh my goodness, that's wild.
But it's a really fun show. It's like one
that
part
sounds fun.
Chopped, where it's like, what can we do with pieces of kelpie and seaweed? And then another part D&D. But it's a wild show, and I was just like, Dominic, I don't know what I'm watching. They're eating man-eating flowers. like it's just odd. Yeah. So I don't ever want to have that feeling when I'm reading someone's book. It's like, who is this? Why do I care? Oh, they killed them. I don't care. Like, that's a bad feeling to have. We want you to feel every death personally.
Yes, absolutely.
So another thing I wanted to ask you, and I think I've asked you this before, but I just want to make sure, I really understand your process here. So you have Heirs of Isildur, I Am Keto, Tales from Nocturna. You have Satsumi that's coming, and Misfitz Clubhouse. And so how do you flip the switch between all these different properties when you're creating? Do you literally do you put on different hats? I can imagine you putting on a different cap when you're like, okay, I'm gonna go write Misfits, put on the Shenanigans hat. Do you do this?
Yeah, you have to be able to compartmentalize, flip the switch. I feel like a little bit of ADHD brain. I mean, I've never been diagnosed, but I feel like you got your brain going a million miles an hour. So,
are you able to write all of them in one day? Can you flip the switch that quick, or does it take you time to like decompress from one and get over to the other mindset?
So I can tell you that yesterday, perfect example. Yesterday was working on Misfits, working on the Kickstarter campaign, working on promos for that, while also working on the final pages of Heirs of Isildur to get that stuff ready to go so that Steph and I can get that off to the printer, while also looking at art from issues 1 and 2 for Tatsumi the Serpent Mistress, while also looking at art for one of the anthologies that we're going to be in. So yeah, you kind of have to be able to go, that mile wide and an inch deep at times, but there are other times where we have to stop and say, okay, this now must be the inch wide and mile deep time because we're doing an editing pass, or we're making sure that we're doing a conceptual pass. Is this exactly the direction we want to go on this? Or it could be doing research, doing research on panels. Steph also does articles for, she does horror movie reviews and horror geek culture articles, and she is right just under 100 bylines for things like Horror Geek Life, Fangoria, Creepy Kingdom. So there's times she's writing those. And so we just have to make sure that when we are in that, we're in it, but know that we have to just kind of keep on moving ourselves all over the place. But yeah, there are times when you really have to push everything to the side, especially when you're scripting. Yeah, especially when you're scripting, because you want to make sure that when you're handing it over to the artist, that you're handing over something that you actually want to see drawn and have it be permanently like that. So we definitely work on a lot. I mean, and there's even writing music, right? Doing the campaign video. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But if you don't juggle all the plates, you can't be doing all these IPs at once. Yeah, you have to be able to juggle.
And I've said this before, I have so much respect for you guys that are able to just, jump from one IP to the next, and you build your audience and they all come with you. And it's like, it's one thing after the other. I can't imagine, well, maybe I can imagine because I see you all do it, but still it's like, coming off of one Kickstarter campaign, being drained and being like, turn on that smile and get back to work because you're doing it for the next property. Get going, And you being the creator, you being kind of the push, if you're not doing it, it doesn't get done.
Exactly. And one of the things, though, one of the ways that we try to combat that in a sense is that if for us, I know there's others that'll be like, I'm just going to churn out the same IP and be able to like boom, 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 back to back campaigns. One of the things for us, especially when it comes to Kickstarters, this is going to be the year we're going to have the most campaigns we've ever had in a single year, which we already know 4, and it's possible 5 this year for us, which we've never done that many before, but it's always, IP1, then IP2, then IP3. So we're not like having to stay in promote Heirs of Isildur nonstop for 6 straight months.
Yeah.
We make sure the campaigns are shorter so that way it's not 30 straight days of live streams and losing our minds promoting this one issue. We're trying to make sure that we're bouncing back and forth because especially with something like Misfits, we know that we've got some of the best backers. We would put our backers and our fans up against anybody that are just great people, super supportive and all that. But there are some that Misfitz Clubhouse is not their title. They're not going to go and support it because they just don't, there's only so much support and so much money to go around. We have other people that love Tales from Nocturnia and love I Am Keto and are probably going to be Tatsumi fans that are just not into the Air storyline. And that's okay. So we know that we have to make sure we've got something to keep them engaged, because if you're like, hey, we have this cool title, we're not going to come back to this thing for 16 months. They're going to move on to something else. And the fun and joy and passion they had for you is probably going to wane because you're not putting something out there that is going to keep them involved in what you're doing. So that's why we're trying to bounce back and forth between the different IPs, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just try to, I make content, while I'm not campaigning, and I try to make it relevant. I try to switch the type of content around. So hence the book binding and sometimes the bread baking and hot sauce making. So I'll share videos of all that stuff intertwined with, here's a sneak peek at what's coming next for Path. And so I try to stay at the front of their attention.
Well, and being one of the best, hosts for shows, it doesn't hurt you at all.
Right, exactly. Having one of the shows that people are fighting to get on this show. It's
absolutely
amazing.
I mean, literally like beating the crap out of each other. I've seen it, it's
just in the chat.
So right now, how often are the Path campaigns? Because you're doing like a couple a year, right? Maybe 3?
Well, I was doing 2 a year. Last year we did 2, and we did our trade paperback, so we did 3, but we switched artists, and now Gilbert's timing is a little different than Marco's, so we might be able to go a little quicker. So my goal is to do 3 issues this year. Well, at least I would hope to run another 3 campaigns this year like we did last year. Whether or not we fulfill by the end of the year, maybe not. But then if we do, we'll be 6, 7, and 8, and then we'll do trade paperback in the early 2026. That's my plan. But again, you never know. You never know.
And when you're doing one IP, to me, and some people are like, if you're not releasing an issue every month, I've heard that from people that were dealing with the retail side. I'm like, that doesn't work for Kickstarter, but that at least allows your backers that are your big whales that are out there. And whales is a positive term.
Whale is a positive term, yes.
Yeah,
the ones that spend the big bucks. They can't spend big bucks every month. If you run a campaign every month, they're not spending that 100, 200, 300, 500. They can't.
Yeah, we had a good friend of ours that is a friend who also is a super backer that told us one time, he's like, you guys run about the right amount of campaigns a year. He's like, because I couldn't afford to go and drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars every couple of months. Right. So, Misfitz Clubhouse may not be that guy's cup of tea, but we know he's going to be a Tatsumi fan when it comes out. And so we've got something that's going to be out there for him that's going to keep him engaged in what we're doing. But Misfits is going to have its own fan base. Misfits has its own fan base. There are some crossover from Heirs and Nocturnia and Keto, but Misfits has its own fan base, and that's fine with us. As long as people are enjoying it and supporting it, then it's all you can ask for as a creator.
Agreed. And we'll end right there. No, I was kidding.
I was like, wow, man, that was abrupt.
Cut. We're going to end the show. No, just kidding. No, but I agree with that statement. And it's like, I appreciate everybody that comes. And I know that some of my backers, they can't come every campaign. Some of them that are bigger dollar amounts, they come every other campaign and they just catch up. And that's fine. But I just feel I'm one of those where I'm like, I'm so appreciative of the journey that we're on. And I appreciate every single step of what we're doing. I appreciate where we started and where we are now and how much we've grown in that time, which is an amazing thing. And I think that it's important to stay positive in indie. It's a hard thing to do. But you got to give yourself that pat every now and again. And you got to have I had stumble? Yes. I've had printer issues. I've had things disappear. It's like I've had colorists disappear in the middle of a project. Like stuff happens, but you just pivot, keep going.
Pivot and adjust. That's what you got to do. I mean, I can tell you one of the biggest lessons that we had to learn, part of the reason why Tatsumi is going to be 32-page comic size issues is because there was a time, if you go back, say 3 to 4 years, I think probably just before you got involved in the scene doing campaigns, where the scene basically was saying, we want larger books. They didn't want Kickstarters that was 20 to 24 pages. The scene was like, we want you to do bigger books because we want there to be bigger value for the dollars that are out there. And that was kind of where Steph and I were mentally about what we're going to do. And when we put I Am Keto together, it's an 80-page one-shot. And we put that together when that was still the mentality. By the time we launched the campaign and then got to the point of fulfillment, the economy had completely shifted because people didn't have pandemic money or stimulus money or anything like that. Again, the economy changed, and even the people that were the voices and the creators that were doing the bigger books all started doing smaller books because that's where the Kickstarter economy went. So we were like, oh crap, we've now got this huge book that cost a ton of money to put out there that is now in an economy that is barely going to support it. And the campaign completely lost our butt on, because even though it was a good campaign, I mean, the campaign was over $5,000, 80-page book.
When it's an 80-page book.
Yeah. So that's why one of the things we've started to try to do is we don't just look at what the size of the book is that we want to make now. We're like, okay, when we're done with this, we're actually launching the campaign. Is there any kind of economic thing going on out there that could hinder it?
Yes.
Like we're not going to go launch a book in December because we know that December is not when you're going to have a large Kickstarter campaign. Right. So we're like, okay, can we launch, January, March, May, July? If we fit the fifth one in, or if we do, is it going to be late October or late September? That's about the latest one. If not, we have to punt and do it at the start of the year because we don't want to go in and cause ourselves economic turmoil that we could potentially avoid.
Gosh, we did the same thing last year, where we were right on that cusp of, do we run a campaign? We could try to squeeze it in. It may not be very successful because of the time of the year at the end of the year, or do we wait? Because then you wonder, well, if I take too long, will we lose momentum? Will people not come back? So we did the same thing as you, and we waited, which I think was the better of the two choices. Looking at the performance
of your campaign, I'd say
I think we did what we were supposed exactly. But that's always such a hard timing is such a hard thing to answer. Even everybody's like, when is your next campaign launching for 7? And I'm like, summer.
Well, I can tell you Kickstarter's done 2 things recently that have been huge to me, that have helped people like us out. The first thing they did was allow there to be that full page of information on the pre-launch page.
Yes.
Because before it used to just be
your
the
byline.
image. And you're like, you're like, hey, you guys need to promote, but we're not going to give you any tools on Kickstarter to do it. So it forced you
and
to have
not
to go
only
to third
that,
parties.
because right now where I'm at now, things are getting approved while my campaigns are still running. You know what I mean? But like we're in production for 6, but my pre-launch is live for 7.
Yes.
But they wouldn't let you do that before. They were like, you have to finish this campaign. Well, it's like, how can I promote my next one when you won't give me a tool to promote it because I'm not done with this one? So I have to finish this one, and then I got to start. It's like, why can't I promote at the same time?
So that's a great point. So the second thing that they've done, so we had the link for Misfitz Clubhouse and for Tatsumi while we were running Airs 4. And you used to have to go get like special clearance from Kickstarter to get those pages promoted. You used to have to tell them, we promise you we're not going to be launching this campaign at the same time.
Right.
And then they would go in and they would fix the code in the background so you could go. As we told them, we're like, look, we want to be able to have to go create the tiny URL, be able to make it like we want to have a QR code in Airs 4 for somebody who wants to go and, you know, look at Tatsumi or look at Misfits. We want to be able to do that, but we can't do that without having it in the promotion phase. So what they've just recently allowed is that you can go and get your campaign URL without the campaign being approved.
Oh, really?
So they just started that recently to where, so right now we've already got the campaign URLs, obviously for Misfitz Clubhouse, for Tatsumi. We just the other day, we were like, oh crap, we're going to have to go build up Airs 5, the finale. We're going to have to build that page up and go put it through approval and all that so we can get the URL for it, so we can go create the tiny URL, so we can go create the QR code. We went to go do that, and it was like, go create like barely anything for the Airs 5 campaign there. You can go and get the address, you can go create the tiny URL, and you can go get a QR code and all that prior to the campaign being approved. So it's just on you to not be a fool and screw yourself over and not get the campaign ever done.
Right. Get the campaign URL, get people following.
Right.
And because that's what I always do. I used to put the bare minimum, like here's a few tiers and here's a few things in the story and get it approved. And then I can keep working on it, you know, until the time gets ready for launch. And I did that with this one. All I did is copy and pasted 6 to 7. So, I mean, like if Kickstarter was savvy, they would have been like, this is the same exact as your last one. But the reason why I did that is just to get it approved again, and then I can go change the images as we produce them. So
so we've got, so there's in the Airs 4 book, there's actually a QR code to go to the pre-launch page for Airs 5 that's going to be in there now because of this. So they're doing things that are helping you to be able to promote the next thing. That to me is a lesson. That's a lesson I learned from World Wrestling Entertainment. If you watch WWE and the way that they promote, it's always, you know, oh my goodness, these two guys are having this thing. What's going to happen when they meet at the pay-per-view? It's going to be this amazing thing at the pay-per-view. Make sure you rent that pay-per-view, and it's going to be amazing. We can't wait till this thing. Then you get to the pay-per-view, and it's, what's the follow-up going to be when you watch? What's the follow-up going to be? You're going to tune into Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown because here's the next thing. So they're always making sure that whatever you're at is promoted as the greatest thing. But then when you're there, you're not promoting the next thing.
Great thing.
So that's why, you know, we're talking about Tatsumi right now on the Misfitz Clubhouse campaign, because we want you to know there are going to be other things coming. We know that there's going to be Airs 5 that's going to be coming because, you know, you want to make sure, you know, dude, these people are not just doing this one thing. They've got plans. They're doing these other things. I can't wait to see what's next and what's next and what's next. You've always got to do that.
Yep. I'm with you. Speaking of, where can people follow you and follow what's coming up next? Make sure you list all your socials so people follow. And we're going to wrap up shop here.
Sounds good.
Oh my gosh, it's been 2 hours and it's about like 10 minutes, honestly. So
the best thing you can do is go to linktree.com/Insymmetry Creations, INSYMMETRY Creations. That link tree has got all of our campaign links. It's got a link for each one of our stories. There's a link for our music. There's a link that'll take you to all. I think we have 7 music videos for the different songs on our different albums. There's a link to all the articles that Steph's done. We said she's got nearly 100 bylines for horror and geek culture articles and movie reviews. So there's a page we have that's got all of that, our live appearances, all that stuff is on there. So go to linktree.com /Insymmetry Creations, and you can get our Blue Sky and Twitter and Facebook. All those things are going to be right there. But right now, most importantly, where you want to go is tinyurl.com /M-Clubhouse for Misfitz Clubhouse. As you can see, we are now at 1837. We are just $105 away from being able to get to that minimum funding level and start announcing some of the stretch goals. So if you go up there, you can get, there's a bunch of different covers. You've got socks, you've got game chips, you've got catch-up tiers. You can get yourself drawn into the book. There's all kinds of stuff. It's going to be fun for you, fun for your whole family. If you are a human person that likes fun, humor, and laughter, and you know what? Even if you're not, if you are an alien from another planet, I'm a big fan of aliens. We will sell it to whoever, as long as you go up there and you click that back button. We're gonna find a way to get you your stuff.
Pick it up if you're from Mars. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the nuts.
International shipping might be a lot, so you might only want to back the PDF if you're from another planet. But we'll find a way to get it to you. We're not in the sales prevention department, so we would love for you guys that are out there listening and watching the show to go up and back this campaign, digital, physical, whatever. Help us get to that level, and then we're going to put some really cool stuff out there for you guys.
Yeah,
just back it already.
Yeah. Right? It's better.
That's right.
Or we could chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. You never know.
Chicken nuggets, everybody. Join us next week on the Tuesday Morning Brew. We're going to have Mike Hinson, who's never been on the show before. He just had some surgery. He could be bionic at this point. We will find out. But join us next week. Same time, same coffee, same everything. We'll be here nerding out, talking comics, and all of the goods. Pivot. And I got this reference. It's Friends reference. Interplanetary shipping, impressive. Yes. All right, friends. We will see you all here next week. Thanks so much. Kiss your babies. Be excellent to each other. And bye-bye.
See ya.
I pushed the button.
Click on the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join